Okay, so this visit back to Baker Street is about finding more out about the ship that Lady B came in on and about possibly finding a sailor. So we're going to search Rock of Gibraltar, 1893. That's the year that Lady B arrived. So what you need to do, you go to the newspapers over here and click on those. And as you can see there, right trigger to change the year. We want to change it to 1893. And there you can see Rock of Gibraltar's arrival. So click on that. Have a read of that. And then have a read of that. Pause the video if you need to.
Here it is.
Basically says that it's a newspaper article about the arrival of Lady B. She was obviously wealthy back in Australia.
The shipping company,
and newsworthy.
London line. And its address. Interesting. It must be the place where they keep the records, including the one for the crew of the Rock of Gibraltar.
I think that if you pretend you're from Scotland Yard, they'll give it to you...
No, Watson. No,
But I have another solution. I'll call in the specialist.
And we know from a previous case that means... what's his name? Wiggins. So we go to the window and call Wiggins. And what we're actually doing is we're trying to find out the crew of the ship that Lady B came in on. And we're going to hunt them down and see if any of them know what's going on. So let's call Wiggins.
Wiggins, could you come upstairs, please?
At your service, Mr. Holmes.
I need a register, my young friend. If you could borrow it, there will be half a guinea for every one of you. I need the crew list of the Rock of Gibraltar in 1893 and their current employment.
I'm straight on it, Mr. Holmes.
Do you really think they'll find it, Holmes?
My secret police is better than the Yard in many ways.
3 hours later. Hardly anything.
Here it is, Mr. Holmes. But
good work.
take it back. It's too risky.
Put it on the table. I'll take care of it. Good work, young Wiggins.
Okay, so the register here on this table here, we're going to go straight and have a look at that.
This list shows the senior officers of the Rock of Gibraltar, on which Lady Brackenstall and her maid made their voyage. Lady Brackenstall does not know anyone in England. This must mean that someone on this list is our mysterious visitor. And these are the lists of the senior officers of the Adelaide, Southampton, London Line ships. Let us find out who was in London upon November the 7th.
All right, and just to further explain that, this is the list of sailors that were on the Rock of Gibraltar when Lady B came over from Adelaide, Australia. Not far from here where I sit right now. Well, not too far. And compared to where some listeners might be. And on the right we have a list of all the officers that are currently employed at the same company on different ships. And what we're going to do is cross off all the names from here and find out if any of the guys on this list are currently here in London and not away on ships, basically. So I'll call this page 1. And what we want to do here is we want to look at the names on here and match them to the names across there. And if you have a look here, this departs from Adelaide on May 6th, 1894 and arrives in London on November 12th, 1894. So it's at sea already because the murder date is the 7th of November, 1894. So that's it up the top. So this Henry Southwood is over on our first list, so we can cross his name off.
Is still at sea. Therefore, he cannot be involved.
And Mr. Ernest Woods is also on that list, so we can cross him off as well.
C. Therefore, he cannot be involved.
And now we just want to click on the second page. That's all for that one. And on this one, we have 2 names as well. We have Charles Chill, so we can cross him off.
This officer was on a ship that sailed half a month ago. He wasn't in London at the time of the crime.
Yeah, so, sorry, I forgot to let you know, that's the one that's already left, so they're not in London at the time of the murder. So that was Chill, and the other name on here is the bottom name, William Partridge. So cross him off.
This officer was on a ship that
So over there.
a month ago. He wasn't in London at the time of the crime.
Okay, and now we can go to page 3. So go to the next page. There's just one name here that we want to have a look at. If you look here, departs from England, or London, England, on November the 10th and arrives in Australia May 17th. So you could say that they're most likely still in London, and Jack Crocker is second on the list over here, and he's our captain over here. So click on that one.
Mr. Jack Crocker was in London upon the date of the crime, and he is due to depart in 2 days.
Okay, so he's someone we might be wanting to speak to. Now we can go to the 4th page, and just for completeness, we want to see if we can cross off the rest of the names on our list so that we don't have to look for them as well. And you'll find that we've got this Thomas Walker.
This
Get
officer
rid
is
of
still
him.
at sea, therefore he cannot be involved.
And Herbert Whittington, we can
This
cross him
officer
off
is
as
still
well.
at sea, therefore he cannot be involved.
And now
Jack
we have just
Crocker
the one
is
name
our
remaining.
mysterious visitor. He was the only one around at the time of the murder.
What do you know? Alright, so we can back out of there.
This Crocker, do you think...
It would be interesting to meet him. Our young friend should be able to find him.
Alright, so we're going to go have another chat to Wiggins and see if he can find the sailor for us.
Wiggins, could you find a way to bring this Captain Crocker here to us?
Here? Holmes, that could be dangerous.
No problem, Mr. Holmes.
Yeah, don't listen to Watson. Just sometime later.
Mr. Holmes, I was informed that you were looking for me, and I'd like to know why.
And here's our captain.
It is important that we talk. You will soon understand why.
So we're going to just exhaust his dialogue for starters.
You are acquainted with Lady Mary Brackenstall, are you not?
Yes, I think I do remember her, from when I was first officer, but I still don't see...
It seems your relationship went beyond that of mere passenger and first officer.
How dare you?
Indeed, how reckless a feeling is love, particularly if one is prepared to commit a murder in its name.
Explain yourself this instant.
You are aware that the murder made the headlines of the morning press. You read the newspaper report, but to your dismay, found it much fabricated. Once you learned that I wanted to see you, you came straight away. You needed to know what I had found.
You... and what do you know?
That evening, you were with Lady Brackenstall, despite the danger.
I'm not afraid, Mr. Holmes. Besides, all of this is just guesswork.
You would be right, if there was no evidence.
What then?
Alright, and this is our opportunity for the third and final character portrait. So push X. And to start with, his eyes. RB to move down. Oop, a little bit fast. His chest here somewhere. Oop, it's a bit fidgety, this one. Okay. And then we want to move down again. It's one of his hands that we want to get to. There it is. Click on that one. Newspaper ink. So he's been reading the newspaper, obviously. Down to his boots. And one more as we move back up, we should be able to get a look at the knife. A few things that linking him to the crime now. And now we'll go through his dialogue again, but this time we need to be ready for a QTE. So get ready for that. Oh, I pushed the wrong button. Thanks, Mr. Fumblefingers. There we go.
Lady
Dialogue.
Brackenstall was tied to a chair on the night of the murder.
I was too keen for the
It
QTE.
was you who tied her up.
You call that evidence?
And there we go. Alright, now the correct answer here is obviously pretty obvious, but we're just going to use sailor's knots. That's the one you need.
Yes, as she was tied with a sailor's knot. Your handiwork.
So, it's a sailor who's done it. That proves nothing, Mr. Holmes. I'm not the only sailor in London right now. Your theory is flawed anyway. On the night of the murder, I was aboard the Shark. I was supervising the repair of a porthole.
At night.
It was an emergency. There was a leak. You can ask the ship's carpenter. He can confirm.
I'm sure that he can.
Perfect. In that case, we have nothing more to talk about. Good evening, gentlemen.
Is that so?
Holmes, what should we do now? Would you like to check his alibi?
No, there is no doubt that these men will testify in his favor, and there will be no way to check.
So, what then?
So, we must work with what we have. We have all the puzzle pieces.
Now I understand why you dissected the bell rope.
Okay, and now we have our final deduction that we can make. And our final 2 clues, so it's not so hard to work out which ones we're going to choose here. Okay, and that's it for this case. It's now time to make all of our deductions and our conclusions. As with the previous cases, I'm going to go through, because we need this for an achievement, for our achievement for getting all possible conclusions in the game. We're going to go through all the incorrect conclusions first, and then there's only 2 of those, and then we'll go to the correct conclusion and see how that all plays out. And keep in mind there's also going to be an achievement for this. I'll see. I think we can only get the achievement, and it's called, what is the achievement called? Let me just check. It is Hold Your Herrings, Captain. And that's when the captain... Ooh. Well, spoiler warning for this last conclusion. I might go into that when we get up to it, actually. So let's just go for the first incorrect conclusion. And what we need to do is we need to change acquainted with a sailor. We're going to change that to no acquaintance. Because that's the first thing that we really need to make sure. We've already got 2 people we need. We need it to be imitated robbery. And what we're going for here is a domestic accident. We definitely need Randall's blamed. And then where it says, where is it? Poker blow, we're going to change that to accident. See what that gives us. And there it is. There's the first incorrect conclusion. So we're going to play that out. Let's have a look.
Ladies, I know the full story. You are both guilty, are you not?
Mr. Holmes, I can explain everything.
No, madam, he's bluffing.
It is no use. Your husband was a violent man, a cruel man. Your argument last night ended tragically, with him stumbling and falling, fatally striking his head upon the fireplace grate. However, your mise en scène to divert suspicion was unnecessary. You should have admitted the truth.
The truth is often subjective, Mr. Holmes.
Not to me.
What will you tell Inspector Lestrade?
He will find nothing, as he handed the case over to me. Farewell, ladies. Inspector, I'm afraid that the murderers have escaped us.
What? Do you mean to tell me that you failed? Never thought I'd live to see the day.
I mentioned the murderers, not the case. It is obvious that the crime was committed by 3 criminals who cannot be the Randalls.
You really think so?
You only need to find a gang of 3 thugs wandering around. I can trust you to do that.
If they exist, I'll catch them.
You'll find.
Why would he do that?
I have no doubt of it. Goodbye, Inspector.
Well, I'm glad that's the incorrect ending, because that was silly. So without waiting any further, let's go and get to the other incorrect conclusion. So push X. Alright, so go back into deductions. And the second incorrect conclusion, which will tell you exactly what the correct conclusion is, but the second incorrect conclusion is that the Randalls are guilty. And so the couple of things we need to change. We need to change 2 people to 3 people. And then we need robbery as the motive instead of imitated. Alright. Obviously we need the Randall gang. That's it there. Then we need poker blow again, not an accident. So yeah, we're really changing a lot of these. And there it is. Oh, we can, if you are having trouble, if you haven't got it to link, you just put Crocker's alibi. That can help with that one if you need it. But here it is, the Randalls are guilty, so we'll quickly have a look at this one.
Well, Inspector, this case proved to be a simple one after all.
You think it's the Randall gang, then?
Yes.
I'll put my men on it straight away.
I'll leave that to you, Inspector. After all, you have handled this matter quite brilliantly.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Holmes. I do appreciate it.
Oh god, yeah. Alright, let's just get those out of the way and move on. Press X and let's get to the real ending. Alright, so back into our deductions. And to get the correct conclusion, which is Captain is the killer, we have to change this back to 2 people. Obviously they've imitated the robbery. And it's not the Randall gang. They've just been blamed. Quite conveniently. Murderous visitor. Yep, we've got that. And then we've got to change no acquaintance to obviously acquainted with a sailor. And then we can't have... Oop, hang on. Get rid of his alibi. And that should be it. There it is. The captain is the killer. Now, I nearly did a spoiler before, but I can't go too much further without spoiling this conclusion for you. And that's something that happens when we confront the killer. And that's for the achievement, as I said before, hold your herrings, Captain. And that achievement means that we have to stop the captain from committing suicide. When he knows that he's been caught, he'll pull out a gun and attempt to shoot himself, at which point we have to move the cursor over his hand and press A and then quickly tap it repeatedly in some sort of little QTE event and press Y when prompted. I need to let you know now because I probably can't explain it while I'm doing it. It'll happen a bit too fast, I assume, and we want to grab that achievement because this will be me grabbing it for the first time as well. So we'll go into here, the captain is the killer, and then for another achievement that we've been working on, which is a man of character, we have to condemn every killer, which is always option A when we get to this screen. So we're going to push A and get on with it.
Wiggins, could you ask Mr. Crocker to come here again, please?
Right away.
You'd think he'd be
Why did you
running.
make me come here again, Mr. Holmes?
It is over. I know that it was you who killed Sir Eustace Brackenstone.
What?
I know, because of the height at which the rope was cut.
Get ready for it.
It was a sea knife. The knots were sailors' knots, and not least the sheer force that was put behind the killing blow. And because you are the only one who knows Lady Mary Brackenstall in London. And because you love her.
It's true.
It is time for you to tell us the whole truth.
I admit that I loved Mary madly from the first day that I met her. But I never did come to visit her, for I believed that she was in a happy household. When I talked to her maid, who told me everything, I was insane with rage. I was due to set sail for 6 months away. I wanted only to see her again. But it turned into a damnable nightmare when he barged in. He dared raise his hand to her. He was not even worthy of licking her boots. Oh, I regret nothing. I admit I killed the monster out of love for her. She will forgive me if she is able.
Lady Brackenstall already forgave you. She said nothing.
Mary.
But that makes her an accomplice as well as her maid. It places her in danger yet again.
Mr. Holmes,
You would not have managed to protect her.
till I die, do you hear me? Here is a letter that sets everything clear, and it is the one that should be disclosed to the police. I am the only culprit. Mary had nothing to do with it. Now it is time to end this.
Here we go. Oh, there we go. Now tap X, tap, I mean A. Tap, tap, tap. And Y. There we go. You don't get that past Sherlock. And there's our rare achievement.
How can I live if Mary suffers?
I am sorry, Captain Crocker, but there has been quite enough death in this case. Inspector, I give you Sir Eustace's killer. He tried his best to perform his own justice.
Well, I'm not surprised. Yes, it was me. I confess.
Here is a piece of evidence that can be used in court.
Perfect. A case that went smoothly for once.
Okay, so it looks like we looked after the widow. Didn't dob her in. Sounds like he deserved it. And that is it for case number 4. You know, that one obviously wasn't as good as some of the others. Quite obvious right from the start, but that's okay. I'm interested to see how this all sort of comes together in the 2 remaining cases. And if you are too, you can join me next time for case 5. But for now, I'd like to thank you all very much for watching. If you've enjoyed it, please remember to give us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. It helps out a lot. And I will catch you all next time.